Welcome to a Grappler's Talks. What I want to discuss today is Usman versus Chimaev. Honestly, I think Usman beats Chimaev even coming up, even with the weight difference. I think Usman's big. I think after doing some research, I think he's the better wrestler. He has the better style for MMA, which is folk style. I'm a bit biased because I'm an American, and when it comes to wrestling, you always, root for the American. Um, I think Chimaev is pretty good though, and pretty tough, but I don't think Usman's gonna be willing to engage in a war like Gilbert Burns. I think one of Usman's best assets is that he stays pretty composed during fights, like pretty calm, collected, and I don't think he. Granted, the Kobe Covington fights were wars. I do possibly see Chimaev maybe like catching him with a right hand, like a right straight or something. But I just don't see Usman not being Chimaev right now. Like I think Usman will batter him on the feet, and I think Usman has good enough wrestling to deny Chimaev's takedowns attempts. If Chimaev even attempts a takedown, plus, Usman's been the champ for years, and looking at his record all the way through college, that's a man who knows how to win. I don't think he's quite past his prime. I honestly don't ever see Usman being champion again, but I think he still has the mentality of one. But the more interesting fight, in my opinion, would have been Bo Nickel versus Chimaev. And I think the UFC is betting the house a little bit on Chimaev beating Usman, because that becomes a huge fight for the UFC if Chimaev beats Usman. Because now you got a dude who's been wrecking everybody beat Gilbert Burns, who's at one point he was number two when Chimaev beat him. So you have him beat the welterweight champ, number two guy in the world. Bo Nickel beat someone in the top 10. Huge fight to promote. But it'd be interesting right now because if Usman beats Chimaev, that fight with Bo Nickel lose, especially if he batters Chimaev, it doesn't lose all appeal, but it loses what it has as a main event. Like right now, both of them are undefeated. Both of them are highly credentialed wrestlers. They're both of their striking is a mystery, but it if Usman beats Chimaev, it's not like I don't know how to put it. It's not what it would be if they were both undefeated. It's not pretty much like this is crazy, this is madness. It's a little bit more umph if Chimaev's undefeated, but it's still a great fight no matter what. I just I would like to see both. While Usman, Bo Nickel are still very much undefeated, and all those variables, see what happens. That's a fight still. Like you'll be homeless if you bet on that fight. You have a good chance of being homeless. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I think that Bo Nickel and Chimaev right now would be the best thing to make. I just want to see Bo get in there with a top flight guy as soon as possible so we can get that fight. I'm super excited to see Chimaev versus Bo Nickel. Plus, you know, if that fight occurs after Chimaev beats Usman and the trash talking, like say if Covington beats Strickland, the trash talking with either four of them, who either combination of those is going to be insane. How is Covington? Is Covington fighting? I need to look that up. Is Covington fighting Sean Strickland? I think I don't know. I don't really see Covington doing that well in the UFC anymore after this. Like I don't see Sean losing um to Covington. No, that's a lie. I think Covington takes Sean down and doesn't let him up. And I haven't watched Sean Strickland enough to really give my opinion on that fight. Covington's so intelligent though, but he's just been so battered lately. Like the middleweight division right now is so interesting, especially with Usman moving up. Like Usman versus Sean Strickland, I could see Usman possibly beating Strickland, but I don't. That's welterweight. I'm retarded. Who? I'm sorry. I'm confused because of Usman coming up. Strickland. I'd like to see Cannonier versus Strickland again. And I don't really remember. I don't know why, but I remember like Cannonier beating the shit out of Strickland. But apparently, I watched that fight live. That was like right before my ESPN got taken down. Well, before I couldn't pay for my ESPN. That was like the last fight I watched. And I remember I actually said to my friend because we were like, "Yeah, dude, Strickland's not that good. Like his style's not that great. He doesn't go for the kill enough. He always talks about war." I remember watching that fight now, being like, "Yeah, Strickland won that," but like time had passed, and I was like, "Nah, Cannonier killed him." I don't know why everybody was talking about how that was robbery, but it's interesting to see what's happening in the middleweight division. It's as lit as it has been in a minute. Now that Izzy's gone, I think since I'm recording this, might as well get into it a little bit more. I think Izzy should just retire. Like, there's a certain point where you can only be so successful. You can only win so many titles. Like, what else do you have to prove? I think you just go and teach kickboxing someplace, figure something out, do something. Like, I don't know. Like, you can just tell he don't got the fire in his eyes anymore. And I don't blame him. Like, 100 fights, 100 kickboxing fights, 23 MMA fights. I'm not exactly sure if it's 23, but like a pretty lengthy MMA career as well. When do you quit? Like, do you want to be Muhammad Ali? You want to be shaking and trembling, or you want to have a good life and enjoy your spoils and I don't know, teach kickboxing to corporate people for like $100 an hour because of your name. Help with camps. There's other stuff he could do. Podcasting, he got a personality. I just don't want him seeing him. I like the people from old MMA, like Chuck Liddell. When you see Chuck Liddell or a more recent statement, Cody Garbrandt, that man ain't talking great. Like I think he could do something else. And there's no one I really want to see him against. Like I don't know. I think Izzy's probably the second greatest middleweight of all time in the UFC for sure, though. Like he's definitely not up there with Anderson. Anderson was a death sentence. But that's my thoughts on the fights. Thank you. Like and subscribe.